Comment on this video and tell me if you think that an investigation actually happens when you send a letter to the credit bureaus. If you tell me that you think an investigation actually happens, I am here to tell you, unfortunately, it doesn't. When your letter gets to the bureaus, and I have broken this down many times before, when your letter gets to the bureaus, there are no people. It's a machine that feeds your letter into another machine that then reads it, determines number one, if it can read it, number two, if it's a template, and then if it can, it's going to turn it into a 2 to 3 digit code and send it over via eOscar to the creditor. And it's one computer talking to another computer. Hey, is this the information that you have? Yes? Okay, thanks. Have a great day. And that is the end of the investigation. Why do you think there's so many lawsuits? Why do you think that the CFPB gets involved? Why do you think that the FCRA was enacted to begin with? It's because the bureaus are not there to help you. The bureaus, the creditors, the collectors, they're all there to protect their bottom line. Okay, they are basically just like a complaints department. Like literally, when you send your letters over to them, it's really just like, oh, great, we have another letter. This person's complaining that they have negative information on their credit report. Oh, well, okay. That's all that it is. That's literally all that is. There's no investigation. I was actually on the phone with someone earlier this week, and she was so nice. But I'm on the phone with her earlier this week, and she's like, hey, I sent my disputes in, and I called to check on it because I didn't get a response. And I was told by Experian that they don't do an investigation. I'm like, yeah, they really don't do an investigation. There's, it's just a bunch of computers and they just match data, right? One computer talking to another computer. But she was absolutely floored that there was actually no investigation and that she was being told by Experian, we do not investigate. So when you are writing these letters and you're telling them about your negative data and all that kind of stuff and why you want to remove it and or request for verification and pursuant to this and pursuant to that, all they're doing is matching your information in a computer and it's coming back as verified. Okay, so I'm not here to tell you that you're doing anything wrong. I'm not here to do anything other than help you, all right? Because none of this benefits me. It benefits you. And understanding the actual process behind this and understanding what you're up against and what you're trying to do is the number one thing that's going to allow you to get where you need to be, to get to credit land, right? Where all the mortgages and the vehicles and the houses and the boats and the better neighborhoods and the better credit and the credit lines and all of that great, wonderful stuff lives. You gotta go through the process. And part of the process is, number one, understanding that this is a process, right? So I had another call earlier this week where it ended as soon as it began, actually. The gentleman, he was quite nice. He basically asked me if I do the regular disputes. I don't know what he meant by regular, but if I do regular disputes or if I do a credit sweep. And I was like, well, sir, what do you mean by credit sweep? And what does that mean to you? And he was like, well, I'm looking for the super fast, not overnight, but super fast, don't send in disputes, remove everything type of thing so that I can go and get this, this, and this. And I was like, well, sir, there is a difference between regular credit repair, credit sweep, and illegal identity theft. And unfortunately, what I think you're talking about is the illegal identity theft method. And he basically cut me off and, was like, well, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Well, sir, I'm sorry, but I don't do the legal identity theft method because it's illegal. If you're not a victim of identity theft, it's illegal. And so that is basically where that conversation ended. And I didn't even have a chance to explain to him, number one, why it was illegal. Number two, why he did not want to do that if he wasn't a victim of identity theft. And number three, why that was so unrealistic because look, guys, if it were so simple, if it were this easy, why would there even be credit scores, right? If they did not matter, they wouldn't go on your report to begin with. Scores would not be protected, and they wouldn't be what determines whether and what you get, right? And if it just was this easy, it would actually become obsolete. Your rates would go up automatically because your fancy letter would just get all this shit off, right? Like, you're not even going to pay the money for these fancy letters. So, look, I'm going from one thing to another, and there's all this information going through my head right now, but it's like, I'm not dealing with any notes. This is just totally off the cuff. You guys need to understand the process behind this. I don't care if I'm being redundant. I don't care if you don't like this video. I don't care if this ruffles your feathers. Nobody else is talking about this stuff, and it's for a reason. It doesn't exist. There's no shortcut. You have to go through. You can't go under. You can't go around. You're in a boat, right? You're in the ocean, you're in a boat, and you gotta go to credit land. There's no way for you to go around, right? There's no shortcuts. It's like the Bermuda Triangle. You can't fly over it. You can't get in a boat and go around it. Like, there's no shortcuts. That's just the bottom line to this. There's no shortcuts. And believe me, if one existed, I got so many examples for this, but let's make it easy. If one existed, don't you think that Elon Musk would be like the first person that would, you'd be in an underground shuttle and all this kind of crap? Yeah, dude. Yes. Why don't these huge corporations have their fingers all over this? It's because it's not guaranteed. It's not fast. It takes too long. The results are totally inconsistent, and nobody wants to touch it until your credit gets to whatever score you need, to get to whatever credit you need. If it were like that, if it were that easy, if there were not a process, if it wasn't a fight, if you didn't have to fight tooth and nail and play chess with these people and basically go, 5 rounds in the freaking octagon with them, then guess what? Every single dealership and realtor and loan officer and everybody would have their own in-office person for this. Oh, you got bad credit? Not a problem. I'm gonna send you down the hall to talk to Susie and just sign right here. I'll get your paperwork started. And 10 minutes good for you? I'll see you back in 10 minutes. I'm gonna go grab a coffee. That's exactly what it would be like. And guess what? You wouldn't be paying for it. You would not pay a dime on the front end. And if that did exist, then why are you guys calling around all of these different places? Hey, well, what do you offer? Hey, well, what do you offer? Hey, well, what do you offer? How much is it? How long does it take? It wouldn't be like that. There would be one number. You'd all call that one number, and you'd all go through that same system. And guess what? Once again, you wouldn't pay for it. You'd pay for it on the back end, just like all those places where, hey, we'll give you, a $25,000 credit card, but as soon as you get it on the back end, you're going to be paying us, $15,000 out of it or $5,000 out of it. Or, the credit card's going to come to us. We're going to take our chunk, and then we're going to send you your card because we're going to make sure that we get ours. What is the biggest thing in the financial industry? It's commission, right? So if all these people in all these different fields inside the financial industry are all about commission, and if this was so damn easy, then why isn't this something that you can finance? Why can't you get a loan with your bad credit to fix your credit, to go with that same person and get your house? Why? Why? It's because it's not guaranteed. It takes too long. It's inconsistent. Like, investors don't invest in things that don't have consistent statistics, right? They need to know whether there's a risk and how much of a risk and when they're going to get their money back and all of that. With this, there aren't no statistics other than, hey, for this person it worked, for that person it didn't. For you it might, for me it might not, right? For me, it totally worked. 10 years ago, totally worked. Bankruptcy gone, all his collections gone. But guess what? For other people, you can do it the same exact way, and their bankruptcy stays, their collections stay. They get sued and all that kind of crap. They lose their cars, they lose their house. And you can literally have, this is a real life example, a husband and wife with the same freaking accounts, same exact accounts, because they're joint owners on it, and one person will have these great results within 4 months, and the other person won't even get, any sort of deletions or a score increase or anything for 8 months. Why is that? It's because it is not consistent, okay? It is not consistent. Person A can get whatever the heck they want really, really quick. And person B is not going to get shit for a long time. And maybe it was the day that the letter was sent out. Maybe it was, the dispute reason. Maybe it was the letter. Maybe it was computer A that read the letter instead of computer B. You don't know. And the only way to win this, the only way to do it is to, number one, mentally prepare yourself, because this is a process, okay? The word process tells you it's going to take time. And number two, you just gotta do it. What are your options? Well, I'll tell you your options. Number one, do nothing. Nothing's gonna happen, and you're gonna be in the same place, but just worse, because your negative accounts are going to get more negative, right? Your score is going to tank. You're not going to be able to get any sort of credit whatsoever. You're going to have to wait 7 years. And in those 7 years, you're probably going to accumulate other negative items. Or B, you can pay off all your debt. But guess what? Your score is going to tank because it's going to renew your negative items. Creditors are going to pull your credit and say, well, yeah, you paid, but guess what? You waited 4 years to pay this $25 collection. And how do you think that I'm going to give you $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, $200,000 when you took 4 years to pay back $25? Seriously, right? So not only are you not going to get any new credit, but it didn't do anything for your credit report. They're not going to remove the negative items just because you paid it 4 years later. And now you're stuck in even a worse spot than you were before you paid it, right? You'd figured that by paying your accounts, you'd be in a better position. But a lot of consumers don't understand this. I hear it all the time. Well, okay, this is going to take me too long, so I'm just going to go and pay my X account. Right? My Midland, my portfolio, my Calvary, my Credit One, my mortgage, my vehicle, whatever. I'm going to go pay it and I'm going to get a letter of deletion. Well, okay, good luck with that. Good luck with that one, because guess what? Only 2% of companies even do that. Only 2% of companies even do that. In some states, by you either A, calling about it, or B, paying on it, you are C, legally agreeing that that account is yours and that you're okay with it, right? It's a legal verification. That legal verification will now be used against you when you send in your dispute saying, well, this account is unknown, I need verification. And now you're not going to be able to get it off, or it's going to be 10 times more difficult, just as it was when you went to go pay the account, right? So you really don't have that many options. You can also go with one of those companies that drag you along for 1 to 3 years and don't show you what they're doing on your file, which is basically everybody out there, because they're sending out the same letters for hundreds of thousands of people. I don't know how many people it is. Most of these places have been around for less than 25 years, right? Because, I'm not going to go into the history of credit right now, but anywho, they only dispute a couple items per month and one bureau at a time and use the same letters for everyone, just as I mentioned. And you're never going to know because they're not going to give you the copies, right? Because the NSA is watching them. They have a cyanide tooth. It's confidential information. Like, no, dude, it's your confidential information. It's not their confidential information. There are no secrets to doing this. And there's only so many ways to do this. And if it doesn't get done the right way, then you're not going to get where you want to be. And it's not just where you want to be, it's where you need to be, okay? Another thing that you need to realize is that you went through your whole life working your ass off to get either to, let's just say, the position that you are at work, right? How long did you work there before you got your raise? Or in college, how long did it take for you to get your degree or your certificate or whatever, right? You work your ass off for every single thing that you have in your life, whether that be your apartment or your house or your car that you paid in cash and you felt really good about it, or when you were walking off with your diploma and you're like, hell yeah, dude, I was up all night, every night for like mad night studying just to do my essay or my freaking whatever the heck it is. Yes, I worked my ass off for this, but this one thing that's going to get you everything, the one door of opportunity, is so easy to get. but you had to work your ass off for all this other stuff, right? No, this is just as difficult or even more difficult. Think back to the first time that you got credit, right? How did that happen? What was the flow? Nobody thinks about these things. Why is nobody talking about this? Why am I the only one being Debbie Downer about how difficult this is? Nobody's being realistic. So I'm the one that has to break this down and explain it and whatever, okay? So, oh man. When I was 18, I got my first credit card, right? And it took me 3 months to build that one out. I got my second one. It took me 6 months to build that one out. All right. So now we're at like mad months just right there, just between 2 credit cards. Okay. And then I started having my surgeries and things started going downhill. But anyways, just between 2 cards, it took like 8 months or 10 months or whatever just to get my score where I wanted it to be so that I can go and get a vehicle, because now I had the score and I had the credit to back it up and all of that kind of stuff, right? So it took us all this time to build up the first time, but we think that we screw it all up and that it's just going to be that easy to fix it and do it all over again a second time. No. Why would it be that easy the second time when it's even worse? We're not even like level with where we started. We're like 4 levels down, having to clean this crap up before we even start building again. There's phases to this. Phases, that's another word that tells you that this takes time. And for those of you out there that are saying, oh, well, she's only saying that because of this and because of that, how does this benefit me telling you crap that you don't want to hear? How does this benefit me to tell you the shit that you don't want to hear? It doesn't. It benefits you and only you, because once you understand the process, you can appreciate it and you can use it to your advantage, right? If you don't know, now you know. Okay? So, look, here's the bottom line. We need to, number 1, understand the process. Number 2, understand that there's phases, and I'm going to tell you about that in a second. And number 3, once we understand this stuff, we now will be able to have the tools, which I've been giving you since 2016, to move forward with your life. And right now is the best time to fix your credit for a bunch of reasons. But number 1, you're not doing anything. Most people, right? Especially considering that we're going into a 3rd wave, right? So everyone's going to be locked down again. And even if you haven't been locked down, now you might be locked down, whatever, you're going to have this additional time. We're not out spending, all this outrageous money that we normally spend just, coffee at the gas station or gum, cigarettes, whatever your vice is. All this extra stuff, all this extra time, we're able to sit down and put our heads in this and figure out how to do it the right way. Whether that means A, doing it ourselves, or B, hiring the right person or company to do it. And then we're going to be able to actually get our results, so that when this whole thing is over, we're not going to be saying, oh, well, now I'm going to fix my credit. It's, hey, my credit is fixed. COVID is over. I'm going to go get my house. I'm going to go buy my car. I'm going to go finance my car. I'm going to go apply for a better job to put my kids in a better school. I'm going to A, B, C. But we have to go through the phase first. So number 1, there's phases, right? You got to fix your credit. You're not going to go anywhere without fixing your credit. Number 2, this is phase 2. You have to start rebuilding your credit. Now, some people only have 1 or 2 things to remove from their credit report, but some people have like tens of things to remove from their credit report. And when you have tens of things, obviously, it's going to take you longer to remove than if you only had 1 or 2 things. It absolutely boggles my mind when someone says, well, I only have 15 charge-offs. I only have 17 charge-offs. I only have 3 bankruptcies. Like, what? How did you even claim bankruptcy 3 times within a 10-year period? Like, how did that even happen? How did that even happen? Is that even legal? I don't know. I didn't claim bankruptcy 3 times, so I don't know. I'm asking you. So You want to remove these hundreds of accounts that you have with hundreds of $1,000s with student loans, which are just under bankruptcies as far as difficulty. And you have all these charge-offs to remove and all these collections to remove. But I need it done in 60 days because I think that this thing happens overnight. And I think that this is so easy because I think the creditors and the bureaus and the collectors are going to help me to use a legal loophole, which obviously is your due process, right? It is your right to challenge the stuff if it's inaccurate. But I think the bureaus, the creditors, and the collectors are going to help me use a legal loophole to basically get the stuff that I want. No, dude, they're not going to. They're not going to, and you don't want to put yourself in that position, okay? So what this all boils down to is understanding, number one, like I said, the process. Number two, how we actually need to do this, and I give you a ton of tools to figure this out. And number three, what this entire thing is as far as the investigation process. There is no investigation. Once you understand that, you're going to be able to write your letters the right way so that they're understood by the computer the right way, not trying to fool the OCR and get to a human who is also going to turn it into a 2 to 3 digit code and put it through eOscar to go over to their computer to match the information, right? So as long as you are patient and actually work on your credit right now, instead of waiting an additional 18 months or 6 months or 5 months or whatever, then you will be able to get where you need to be. And I say need to, not want, because this is something that we need, right? We need that better life. We need, more money, or we need that better job, or we need these things. But if credit is the one thing that's holding you back, then you need to understand that it needs to be done the right way. If you don't do it the right way, you're not going to get where you need to go. It's going to be a perpetual cycle where you're doing it over and over and over again because this person over here is saying, oh, it's guaranteed in 60 days. And over here, they're saying, well, it's per deletion and we're going to get it off. And what they're not telling you, right? What they're not telling you. The most important thing is what they are not telling you. What they're not telling you is that they are temporary deletions, and once they get those deletions, now they have fulfilled their end of the contract and you can't get your money back. And not only just putting money aside, dude, because it's not the money that matters, it's your credit that matters, because you can't undo permanent damage, right? It's not the money that matters, it's your credit, okay? But what they're not telling you is that they're temporary deletions, and when they come back on your credit, because temporary deletions are worthless, they're going to be 10 times more difficult to remove, okay? Because if that were so, if it were guaranteed in 60 days or an 80% in X amount of days or 2 months or whatever, then why were they not like in some presidential thing where they got an award for the cure for freaking bad credit, and why aren't their faces all over the freaking billboards, and why is it that they're not on milk cartons, and why have you never heard of them before besides that one time that you saw them on YouTube, or that one ad you saw on Google, or that one whatever. It's because they're using A, something illegal, or B, something temporary, and we are C, not looking for temporary deletions. We're looking for permanent results, for a permanent solution so that we can move on with our lives and not continue the cycle over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. So that is the end of my rant for tonight. I do have more to say, but it's been long enough. So, look, I give you a ton of tools to do this yourself. You have the time to fix your credit right now. I don't care if this ruffled your feathers. I don't care if, whatever, because nobody else is telling you this. I'm the only one that's going to tell you this. And everything is here to benefit you. So I have a ton of tools, free and paid, obviously, that can help you get where you need to be. Or if you want to do this the right way, by a professional that actually gives you the copies of the disputes and disputes all your negative items, not 5 to 15% of your file, and all 3 bureaus at once, not just one bureau at a time, and actually is on the same page as you and uses custom disputes instead of the same freaking letter for all hundreds of thousands of freaking clients, then use the link in the description to schedule a call, and we'll see if a credit sweep with me doing it for you is a good fit. All right, that is the end of my rant. I will see you guys later, and bye.